to talk about a little more was you called the position a little more of an unsexy role. Now, do you think that maybe you were called upon to fill it because you are actually sexy, and so they need, they need to balance it out somehow? Do you think that might be in play here as well?
All right. Well, this is also, and this is on the record. I understand what you're saying. It was a compliment, but like the discussions I had with my parents about this kind of brought me down a little bit. They're like, well, why do you think they're so eager to move you across teams? It could be because they're trying to fill your role with someone more experienced, or maybe your track record hasn't been great. They're like, and my dad was like, yeah, if I was your boss and you were a great worker, I'd be like, no, wait, don't go. Haha, don't leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus, my boss like offering, I don't know. So like that got in my head a little bit and kind of brought me down, because I was like, yeah, wait, maybe I'm not like the greatest worker, and like I haven't been super productive, which is kind of disappointing because, and I think this happens to a lot of tech kids, Georgia Tech kids, is you seem like, oh, I'm different, I'm propped up for greatness, and then the next stage of your life, and it's like you kind of slide into, I don't know, I feel like I'm sliding into like a little bit of a, I don't know, not a mediocre like mediocrity, but like, you know what I mean? Like I was thinking I'd rock, shift some paradigms, at least a little bit of paradigms, but not really any paradigms.
Maybe not a pair of dimes, but at least a dime,
Exactly. So I'm still rocking with my dime piece. You know how it is. So things are still bright. At the end of the day, if an economic downturn were to happen, I think just being safe and secure, I think financially is really important. So at the end of the day, I can't really complain. But yeah, so that's that. But I appreciate the compliment about sexing up the role. I think that was really long-winded way to say thank you, Alex. You made me feel so sexy.
Of course, Tanner. I mean, I call him how I see it, and I think we need more of that in the world. So glad I can do that here too. Speaking of finances and being safe and in the event of a adverse economic situation, Daniel, I want to inquire to you, what kind of mattress do you think is best for stuffing large amounts of cash in?
This is the Experience Podcast with me and someone else.
And that other someone else is Alex. He is a longtime listener, longtime fan, first time on the podcast, as you guys all know.
I've called in, sorry to interrupt, Tanner. I've called in a few times when you were doing your listener segments, when like, the fifth caller gets some concert tickets. I called in a few times. You probably don't remember.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah. Well, I sound a little different now, I know.
He's the one who keeps winning our radio competitions, Daniel. It's this guy. And he actually won a radio competition to be on this episode now. So Alex was part of a sweepstakes promotion where we said the 1100th caller gets to come on an episode. Of course, this week it was Alex, but next week it could be you. So listeners, keep your ear to the ground on potential sweepstakes, and maybe you could find the same fate as our friend Alex here. So Alex, welcome to the podcast. We're glad to have you. Thank you for apparently playing all of our sweepstakes. That takes a lot of dedication to the pod, as some would say.
It's a lot of work, but I love what I do, and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you, Tanner, and someone else.
Well, that's great. That's great. I have a lot of things I want to ask you as kind of like a listener. I think just kind of like bouncing off some questions off of you, because obviously we're on one side of this podcast, right? We're not on the listener side. You're a listener. We just need to see, what it's like from your experience. So I just want to like rattle off a couple questions that'll tell us like what you think about the podcast from your listeners' perspective.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. So my first question to you, Alex, is what is truth?
Wow, yeah, that's a heavy hitter. Forgive me, I need a moment.
No, it's okay. Take your time.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing I'd have to say is it's anything that you find on the second page of the Google search results. I definitely have always been sort of a nonconformist, so whenever I look something up, I skip Wikipedia, I skip, whatever recent news article from a reputable news sources, and I go straight to the second page. And that's really where my search begins. Usually it's not till the fifth or sixth page where I find the indie vlogger with questionable character traits, credentials, everything. They usually have what I need, I find. So I think truth it's like finding a needle in a haystack. You really got to look hard for it, but
it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
And you just got to put in the legwork, I think.
That's a fantastic answer, and I really appreciate hearing from fans and longtime listeners. My second question is, as a longtime listener, what's your favorite, part of the show? Like, what do you tune in for?
I think it's the visual aspect, and that primarily centers around Daniel. I don't mean to, make a sly comment, although I will say, Daniel, we were talking about sexiness earlier. I mean, hell, you could be part of that discussion too. So I just want to throw that out there. But yeah, I really like the unique atmosphere that you guys create with your visuals. I don't see many podcasts of a couple of guys with microphones that have, I guess, two joints, and they're like leaning back in their chairs. And I really like the discussions about what's wrong with the dating scene, specifically dating apps, and blaming women for problems that are probably that they didn't cause. I think that's a really unique thing that you guys bring to the table.
No,
I like
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering my question truthfully. So my third question, just kind of about your experiences, like, why do we exist?
Hey, to bump up these podcast numbers, am I right? No, but really, I think it's to suffer. As a bit of a dabbling Buddhist, I think the Eightfold Path, trying to alleviate suffering is, admirable. I really shouldn't actually go on a religious tangent like that. I feel like that's actually kind of fraught. So I'm actually going to stray away from that, even though it could be a funny joke, not when it's being recorded and put on the internet. But short answer, to suffer. Long answer, to suffer.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic answer. And I really appreciate you just coming on the show and just talking with us.
Yeah.
So,
I love you guys' work. Yeah.
That brings us to our next segment where we bash the experience of living as a white man in America, and we complain about how hard it is. So we're bringing on panel experts like Daniel to talk about what it's like to live. Daniel, tell me about your experience.
As a white man? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I want you to answer as a white man.
Well, as you know, I only live half my days as a white man. And it's tough, White men really have it tough out there.
They really do. And I'm glad that this podcast is a visual component so that the audience can really understand truthfully where we're coming from. But continue, Daniel. I interrupted you like a white man usually does. Continue.
Oh, of course, and we appreciate that. But I think it's just...
No, what I think you're trying to say here... No, continue.
I don't... You know what?
This is Alex's favorite part of the podcast, so I'm glad we could, include you, Alex, as a longtime listener, first time.
I know. It's a little surreal, I'm going to be honest, but I'll do my best to keep my composure, guys.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Alex, if you have anything to contribute, just interrupt whenever. Obviously, we encourage that type of behavior on the show.
Yeah,
So,
no, and I see where you're coming from there, but I actually want to refute every point that you just said. Even though I see where you're coming there, but no, I think
I
it's
got
okay.
a question.
It's okay to interrupt, because Daniel, I'm sure in your experience as a white guy, you're kind of used to being battered by society a little bit. So if you feel that need to butt in, you've been pushed around a lot. It's okay to push back.
So, as you guys all know, Andrew Tate got arrested, and right, didn't he get sentenced recently? Right.
Maybe.
So he's not coming back. And so what I'm saying is there's a niche. So and I'm really confused because I know he's,
Yeah, there's a
misogynistic
lot of competitors flooding into the market right now.
and talked a lot on his, I guess, he had a platform to preach misogyny. What did he talk about, specifically? I'm trying to think of questions of, what he would talk about to get him, I can't, what would you ask? Andrew Tate, what's it like living in, right? How do you be misogynistic like him? I'm saying, guys, there's a niche market we can fill. And by niche, apparently it's saddeningly mainstream. But maybe we can get money in turning the Experience podcast into a misogynistic podcast. What do you think, Daniel? I know you also are creative lead on this whole the Experience project. So I just want to hear you weigh in about whether you think that'd be a financially sound decision or not.
I mean, it's certainly a direction that someone could take for their show.
Do you think it's a financially prudent one?
You know what? Honestly, it might be.
So,
but
okay,
if you take
that's sad.
Yeah,
any side, I think it would be financially prudent, right? And maybe that's why we struggle, because we just have no takes.
Yeah,
we need more hot takes.
Yeah, we're very cold.
Yeah, these are cold takes. What do you think the first 3 units, I guess is how they would break it up in school. Yeah, units of our course, like Andrew Tate has. What would be the first 3 units? Or I guess our sort of
Andrew Tate has a course, how to pick up women like an alpha. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Okay.
How to be a baller or whatever.
So probably step 1 or
course.
The course name is Fast Cars 1102, probably, right?
Yeah.
That's the course listing. So Fast Cars 1102, what you learn about is the bigger and faster and more expensive your car is, the bigger your penis is, or
and I think there's also an increased inherent worth that you.
Yes. You're a net positive side.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So wait, are we asking what our courses would be, or what Andrew Tate's would be?
What ours would be? If we're taking the Experience podcast, I think we also need a supplemental course. To sell on the side.
So it's our own custom The Experience Andrew Tate podcast. If we were selling something,
yes, not affiliated, just the Experience podcast. That's pedantic, but
I think we'd be Rambling 101, right? Is that, what do you guys think of that as our first course listing? Just
that's a core tenet, yeah.
I think that's a huge spontaneity. 3033. That one's a good course to take, I think. Guys, help me out here.
Yeah.
Interrupting each other. 2102.
How to express disapproval without saying anything. I think that's another big one we have here. I felt like that was. We could have taken that in a direction where it's just we're going back and forth with super passive aggressive course names, not having
shows.
being a really bad guest. That's important.
Really bad.
That is an important tenet.
Railroading the topics of the discussion to a one.
These course listings are all over the place.
Podcast, it's all great stuff. Yeah.
What not to do in general. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I think rambling is good, Tanner, and I don't think it's like something that people really think about too much as being as sort of this art/science.
Yeah.
But I think we kind of have a firm grasp on really how to deliver it.
Guys, I got an idea. Okay, so instead of preaching misogyny, we preach, and you know how they're gonna call it, or like he's gonna call it like alpha ballership, Andrew Tate or whatever. You know how to be an alpha. We preach, and it's like made up. It's like made up. It's not real. Like how to be an alpha. You just gotta literally physically assault women, and they'll, right, respect you, right? Like it's like all made up. He's like, it's actually based in science. Our thing that's like fake, but we pretend is real, is called and I forgot, which is the first tenet of this thing. Mindful rambling. We do some mindful rambling. Like I just wanted to put mindful in there. Guys, I ran out of steam. I don't know.
No, Tanner, I'm really impressed with how well you can like keep these ideas going and have.
I'm out of juice. I'm all out of magic.
Hey, that was longer than I think anyone else here could have.
Well, what does mindful rambling include? I think it's being cognizant of what you ramble about. I think it's also about including people in the conversation, like Daniel, who's about to say something.
And I also think, if I may interrupt, I think it's, So I'm going to actually betray what you just said, Tanner, as Daniel tried to speak and kind of violate that. But I think it's also like seeing that you've gone too long, acknowledging that, realizing it, and going anyway. Continuing on anyway. But sorry.
Yeah. Dan, you were about to say something? Mindful, perhaps?
Nothing mindful.
Daniel, please say something mindful for the love of God.
I think it would be articulating your point clearly, and not just kind of going on and talking about whatever, but really getting to the point. Because sometimes we just kind of keep going and going and going and going and going and go, and we never really
Get there.
hit that. Yeah, get there. Really throw the dart in the center of the board, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Okay. I know. I agree with all those points, and I think there's still a lot of future. I think we can table this discussion to another time, but if you want to, untable it for a discussion right now, that's also okay. But I also, have other questions prepared, for us. Actually, I really don't. Oh man, I'm out of questions, guys. I'm all out of magic.
Well, you're one of two hosts, Tanner.
So I've been watching a lot of Harry Potter recently, and by a lot I mean I just watched The Goblet of Fire, the fourth movie. Excuse me. And what I realized, my key takeaways. Well, here's a key takeaway that's actually real. So you guys remember Robert Pattinson? Remember him?
Yeah, of course.
He's still alive, but do you remember how in like Twilight, like people are like, oh, he's like girls are fawning over him, and girls are like, I don't see it. He's like really pasty and like he sparkles. Vampires shouldn't sparkle. Yeah. And then when The Dark Knight came out, or when he was Batman, right? And the guys flipped. They're like, oh, he's a hunk. I can see it. No, he's my man crush. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I see the appeal now, right? I realized the difference is like, as soon as he got like muscles and bulked up a little bit for this role, in the Batman thing, it was like socially acceptable to be like, yeah, I got a man crush on him. No, it's no big deal. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like before it was like, no. Now it's like, no, he's a hunk. He's a hunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tanner, where are you going with this?
Oh, I just put that one together after watching it. I was like, guys, he was always a hunk. Like, but toxic masculinity says you gotta, you can only really worship a man or praise a man if he's a man's man. Do you know what I mean? So I like thought about that. I thought about, Cedric Diggory. I was like, that's a thing I hadn't really put together. I know it seems stupid, but like, isn't that most of this podcast is like Tanner saying things that are like, duh. You know what I mean? Anyways, if you made it this far, leave an audio comment if you're listening on anchor.fm/the-experience. You can leave an audio comment, and I want you to let me know what is your favorite Tanner Duh comment. We really do read all the comments, the audio comments. We love those in particular because I can't actually read. So it's hard to read comments if you can't actually read. So the audio comments make it very easy. So that was an insight I gained. Also, I think the lore behind Harry Potter is kind of cool. I know, like, the person who kind of, the lore master is kind of someone, she shall not be named, but like, there's a new game coming out, so I like looked into like the game and just the wiki and like familiarizing myself, because I guess I had maybe watched the movies 2 or 3 times, maybe like each one maybe twice, maybe once fully through, and then a second time like bits and pieces on like TV. So like I don't know, I feel like I didn't give it a fair shot as a child, but like I feel like they were cute movies, and I feel like the world building they did within the movies was cute, and like it was like solid. Like it feels they were building a franchise. Sorry to interrupt you, Alex. They were building a franchise, but it had more heart behind it. Like versus today's franchises, there's more money behind it. Like obviously there's a ton of money behind that Harry Potter movie, and that's why they split the last movie into 2 movies. Split the last book into 2 movies, but like I don't know. It feels like they weren't making it for the money. They were making it for like a really containerized story that they just wanted to tell.
That may be true, but do you think that part of it might be because they came out when we were a little younger and maybe didn't pick up on the whole money thing a little easier? Like, do you think maybe kids feel that way about Marvel right now, and then in the future some other new franchise will come out and it'll be like, oh, why can't we just go back to the Marvel days or something?
Well, let me just say,
I think that's a possibility.
Counterpoint with math. The existence of Disney adults implies the existence of Disney children. I don't know. I wasn't thinking about what you were saying. I was thinking about, like, this is going to be such a clever gotcha. If I use math, I'll get his ass. It's a bi-directional implication, because the implication that Disney children exist implies that Disney adults exist, and vice versa. One of those false implications. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's like a Twitter format, a Twitter meme format. The existence of blank implies blank.
Yes. Okay. I think you need to choke up, maybe drive your hips a little more, and then you'll get a bit more contact. But I like the swing in general. Yeah.
Like the existence of Adam Driver implies the existence of Eve Passenger.
Okay. Yeah. That one got me. I'm not gonna lie.
Student loan forgiveness implies the existence of student loan revenge.
That's good, Daniel. That's good. Daniel, when did you
keep that
where
one.
did you find yeah, where did you find Tanner? When did I find him?
Where or when?
Like, where and when?
He actually found me in a trash can. I was like cuddled up and just naked and just in this trash can, shaking, shivering in the cold. And he nurtured me back to health. Like I have no other words other than thank you, Daniel.
I'm enchanted.
That's how we met, and that's why I'm on the podcast. Actually, to this day, is I still owe him my life. Like without him, I would have died in that trash can. I probably wouldn't have died because someone else would have probably saved me from a trash can. But like, yeah.
But he was the one to do it, and I mean,
Yeah, he was the first
about
person to save me from that trash can.
Come on,
Thank you.
in the mean streets of Atlanta. Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here for lost souls. Tanner qualified as such when I met him in the trash can.
I was a lost soul back then, but I'd like to think I've found, and I'd like to think that I have found myself through Christ. Yeah, you guys did see that one coming. And that I don't really know. I ran out of steam for that bit too. Just gonna be like, oh, I'm religious now, guys. Tee hee hee. Isn't that funny? By the way, I worship God now. No. Yeah. It's called an antonymic misinterpretation. The existence of, birth control implies the existence of birth chaos. It's antonymic misinterpretation. It's apparently the word for it, according to knowyourmeme.com, a very credible source.
Authority on the source.
So what were we talking about implying? What was the thing I was implying with implying? Oh, yes, I was answering your gotcha. It was a gotcha. And it was about, do people, when they're young, are they more susceptible to just getting caught up in the wonder and the whimsy? And I think, in a large part, I think that's true. You see the kids and then they like playing with the little Hulk action figures and the little Captain America action figures, but never the freaking Hawkeye. No one cares about Hawkeye.
Yeah, that guy really just. I mean,
he doesn't have any powers.
I feel like I'm him on this. In this podcast.
You're like the Hawkeye. You're like the Hawkeye of the X-Rays podcast.
Dang.
What am I? Daniel.
It hurts. It hurts more when someone else says it.
Daniel's the Black Widow, definitely.
Yeah. What does that even mean?
Like, if you were to take a what Avenger am I think Daniel would get the Black Widow.
Why?
Well, you operate stealthily.
Alex, here's the thing. Here's the thing I've learned in just 2023, and I'm taking this kind of to heart as part of my New Year's resolution. You don't owe anyone shit. I don't owe Daniel an explanation. Daniel, you're the Black Widow, okay? I don't owe you an explanation. You don't owe people shit.
I think it's a compliment, Daniel.
I think it's because, Black Widow's got this, hard exterior and, an assassin. Typically, I guess that involves being, cold and kind of, just but actually, she's very warm and sweet with her friends, you know what I mean? But, when she's fighting bad guys, she's got this serious look on her face. But, that's not who she really is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes Daniel, when he's working, has a very serious face. But then also, I can see in the studio right now, he's smiling and bubbly and happy right now.
He knows how to let his team, really shine. I think that's an example of a great leader that Daniel shows, is that, he's not the one always calling the shots. He knows how to delegate, I think, and let his team excel at what they're best at.
I thought of something, but it might not be appropriate for the podcast. And it's
Daniel, we can cut this part out, even though I know it won't be cut. But Tanner, continue.
No, I'm gonna type it.
No, it's gotta be spicy.
We'll just decide if it's we have to do it after the show.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. Guys, stall while I type it.
Oh, we don't have to stall. We can hear you typing. Is anyone good at reading lips? Can anyone figure out what he's typing?
Yeah.
It's actually not bad. I wanted to type it up really fast and have you guys read it and verify whether it was funny or not.
It's almost funnier in the chat.
That's okay. And yeah, no, I knew that. I knew it would be funny.
the idea of you thinking about it is funnier than the actual joke itself.
Okay, so the joke was the existence of Daniel. Well, Daniel, do the podcast people know your last name on this podcast?
Yeah, it's all linked to the.
Okay. The existence of Daniel Silverstein implies the existence of Daniel Goldstein and Daniel Copperstein. That was the joke.
I mean, it doesn't have to stop there.
Daniel, those were just, copper, silver, and gold are like the metals. But I could have realized I could have made it with the, like, Daniel Ironstein, which is also an element, as I've been made aware of by a producer frantically waving their hands in the background and telling me that iron is also a metal. I want to look up Daniel Goldstein and see who they are. Like you have a lot.
Be a prominent podcaster as well.
American cognitive psychologist. Daniel, you got a lot of competition.
That's some rarefied air.
Daniel Goldstein's. There's an artist. There's a local leader at Microsoft Research in New York City. Distinguished scholar at Wharton. Dan Goldstein. Oof. Whoa, this guy is big. All of my publications are on my CV. Holy shit, he was at Harvard, University of Chicago. Wow. Okay, this guy, Daniel, I don't know if you can compete against this guy. Daniel Gray Goldstein. My background is in computer science and cognitive psychology. I work on human and algorithmic decision making. This guy's actually kind of cool. Human and algorithmic decision making in AI, economics, data science, finance, marketing, and management. I try to keep one foot in the industry and one foot in academia. This guy, I actually kind of want to read some more of his stuff. Like, this started as a way to just be like, Daniel, you're not as cool as this Daniel. Like, literally, like the meme, Daniel, the cooler Daniel. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
This is the cooler Daniel. Sorry, Daniel. Like, thanks. This guy's a senior. He's, maybe they're discovering, like, because there's something in the news recently about Amazon kind of having this resume filtering algorithm. You guys hear about this?
No.
And like, it was filtering out resumes. It was filtering out all women, basically, because they trained it on the data set they gave it was all men. So, like, it was, like, filtering out women based on, like, if they had, women's extracurriculars, like, I was part of the, women's tennis, or I was in women in STEM or something like that. And so it's filtering all of them out. There's, like, still problems in algorithms that need to be addressed. So maybe he's doing work on that, So it's kind of a burgeoning field that people are like, maybe it doesn't need to be, like, looked at. Maybe you still need, like, a human component to kind of look over and make sure that this shit doesn't happen, right? Where you're filtering out women, basically, like, we still need a person's touch to kind of make sure that these things don't happen. Yeah.
No, that sounds good to me, being the expert I am. Do you think, like, right now at Amazon,
yeah,
do you think they have a team entirely composed of just traditional people who went through the traditional application, like, resume viewing process? I mean, I guess all companies now have, like, computers to filter out stuff, but, like, there's, like, that regular team, and then there's the team that's entirely composed of AI approved resumes. And obviously they do the same thing. They try to control as much as they can. And as I'm saying this, I realize they probably don't do this at all. But they're trying to compare performance or something. That's probably one of those things they thought about, like, in the beginning stages. And I'm just catching on now. Because they're super intelligent. But who knows?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who does know? Tell me about it. Alex, no. I think you bring up a good point.
I guess it would just be funny if the AI team was just, like, either just in either direction, way better or way worse. Just like a crack team of computer engineers, or just like this guy literally flipped burgers at McDonald's and that's his only job experience, for like 3 years or something, and he didn't go to college, but he somehow snuck his way in, which I don't imagine what happened, but it's just like either highly functional or highly dysfunctional. Would be funny to see.
No, that would be absolutely hilarious. And I want the people at home imagining how hilarious, and I want them to think about that before they close their eyes at night. And I think that's the Experience podcast. It's kind of closing your eyes and thinking about what Alex just said and thinking about being mindful when you ramble. And if you made it this far, please leave an audio comment. We love to hear them. We don't love to read them because we can't. So don't do that. We can only hear audio comments. But if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I am Tanner, joined by someone else and someone else.
Thanks for having me on the show, someone else.
No problem, someone else. Thank you, Alex, for joining our special sweepstakes winner. If you all would like, and thank you, Daniel, for also joining the podcast and also creating it and saving me as a little baby from a trash can.
And having about 48 seconds of audio time.
Yes, Daniel, I really appreciate you being a moderator and kind of, really, really moderating the content here. So,
I mean, I don't want to interrupt this.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and welcome back to and have a great evening if you're listening to this in the evening. If you're not listening to this in the evening, I don't know what you're doing.